the biggest problem for you in London at the moment is knife crime and the increasing rate of murders this year in comparison to previous years. The Police and Crime Committee urged you to take hold of the situation. Can you say whether you know, in an honest moment, that you feel it has sort of taken you by surprise, that perhaps the indications were there, you know, that this may be around the corner, and in a sense, you were caught on the hop?
Look, I'm the Mayor of London, I'm responsible. And serious violent crime has been rising since 2014 in London and across the country. It is appalling. When you spend time with victims or with bereaved families, it breaks your heart. And it should make us all angry.
Yeah, but do you feel like you've got a hold of the situation? Have you got a grip of it?
I think we have. And indeed, I think the government are working closely with us to make sure we have a strategy to address this. Look, one thing by itself won't solve this problem. If you look at Scotland, which people point to as an example of good practice, it took them 10 years. I'm not excusing or saying, you know, one knife crime is not one too many. Let me give you some example of the measures that need to be taken and are being taken. We've got to make sure young people know that if they carry a knife, they're going to be less safe, not more safe. Doesn't give them a sense of belonging. Doesn't mean that they get the respect that they think they get. We've got to make sure that retailers and the internet aren't selling knives to young people in particular.
You say that Glasgow had success, but it took 10 years. I guess that's Ranvir's point, that maybe we should have started it 10 years ago. Of course, you weren't mayor then. So there's a feeling that things have snuck up. So what are you practically doing? Because everyone knows it's a complicated problem. Everyone knows it takes all sorts of agencies to get involved. But I guess they're looking to you to say, this is what we're doing. This is why I'm confident we've got a hold on it.
Well, you mentioned the last 10 years. Over the last 7, 8 years, we've seen the number of police officers go down, police resources go down, but investment in youth services go down as well. That's the context, and that's still going on, by the way. In London, what I'm doing is using monies from not just council tax being raised, but also diverting business rates money to invest more in youth services, and to invest more in police officers.
More stop and search?
Yeah, and there already has been an increase in stop and search, targeted intelligence-led. And I want to reassure your viewers about there is an issue, understandably, about concerns about stop and search. The good news in London is since I became mayor, we've had the rollout, the biggest rollout in the world of body-worn cameras. A police officer now, when he or she stops you and asks you questions and searches you, this is being recorded on the body-worn video, so you should know that your rights are safeguarded. But it also gives police officers the confidence to use this valuable tool to keep us safe, because unfortunately, we know people are carrying knives in them, or even worse, guns in them, and the police need this power in a targeted way to keep us safe.
David Lammy, the MP, made a very strong point. He makes many, this being one of them, that he was talking about the shooting of a 19-year-old man outside a petrol station, and he said he wondered why it had been given so little attention. He said because he was black, and I think we've got to ask ourselves, do Black Lives Matter? That must be quite an embarrassing thing, in a sense, for someone to be asking about the capital under your watch.
I think he was asking you, the media. I think the point he was making is you, the media, don't report certain crimes and do others. And I think it raises a good point about the normalisation of some victims of crime, why some crimes reported in the media, different ways to other crimes. With respect, I spent a lot of time with David Lammy and in communities like Harringay, Tottenham.
Do you agree with him then? Do you agree that there's a sort of bias against reporting crimes against young black men?
I think the point David makes, which is a good point, is the normalisation of these sorts of crimes. I was with a family this weekend who'd lost their son, and the point they were making is the sort of implication or inference that he must have been involved in criminality. That's why it's not been reported in the way it would be if it was somebody else. You can understand the sense of grievance these families feel, whether they have lost a loved one or are victims, that there's no smoke without fire. There must be a reason why this person was stabbed or was shot. And actually, giving these crimes the attention that you're giving them, that they deserve, means that we're asking the questions. I genuinely believe the police by themselves can't solve this. It takes teachers, parents, civic leaders, faith group leaders, politicians, the media, social media companies, grime artists, drill music artists have a role to play, because what's happened is young people think the only way they can be safe, and they are scared, by the way, the only way they can feel safe is to carry a knife, to join a criminal gang, or to carry a gun. That cannot be right in 2018 in London. But similarly, we've got to make sure big brother, big sister, uncle, auntie, mum, dad knows that if their young brother or sister leaves the home with a knife, they're going to be less safe, and actually we should be reporting it to the police. You can report it anonymously, Crime Stoppers, 0800 555 111, or if it's an emergency, ring 999 or 101. I think we've got to make sure we realise that actually they may be somebody we love, but if they leave the house with a knife, they are less safe, but also others are less safe as well, so we should report that to the police. The police can't do it by themselves.
Does it keep you awake at night? You've got 2 teenage daughters who are presumably out and about in the capital. Do you worry like other parents do? Because it must be tough to know it's your watch, you're the mayor, and yet that is what parents are feeling and youngsters are feeling that you've just described.
Security is the biggest thing that worries me. There's a terror threat as well. I mean, I just remind your viewers, you know, London is a target for terrorists. The threat levels are severe, which means an attack is highly likely. That keeps me up at night time, as does crime generally. I mean, security is the number one issue facing all global cities. And just to give you an example of what the police grapple with, terror, of course, knife crime, gun crime. We've seen across the country an increase in serious violent crime. The Met Police work incredibly hard. I've got nothing but praise for them. But as the Mayor, as the Police and Crime Commissioner, of course it worries me. But worry by itself won't solve this problem. It's worry with action. That's why I spend lots of time meeting with experts, meeting families, going into communities, and of course talking to the media as well, because we've got to make sure that people understand the responsibility we have to keep each other safe. We can't, the police by themselves cannot solve this. And I looked at Scotland, by the way, the public health approach they've used, but also around the world. We need additional resources. I'm not excusing criminality, but you can't escape the fact that we've had over the last 7-8 years youth clubs closing down, after-school clubs lost, mental health facilities cut, fewer police officers. This must have an impact, and the Home Office themselves say, the officials, the experts, not the politicians, there is a link between cutting police resources and an increase in crime.
Well, very good to talk to you this morning, London Mayor Sadiq Khan. Good to have you on the show.